I picked out themes from the film that I think we should talk about, but I want to kind of know how it relates to you lot as normal people in your own lives. Okay, Jordan, the main character, he's engaged, but dude has a roaming eye, fair to say, right? He's a bit of a wrong un, not the kind that you want to be with, gets distracted very easily when he sees a pretty face. I'm wondering though, because a lot of times in the industry that we all work in, us girls always talk openly about uncomfortable situations that we feel with men, and then we think, oh, did I imagine that, or did that really happen? Am I being paranoid? You guys, okay, PJ, is there something you'd like to share? Feel free, you're with friends. Can you tell me, have either of you experienced anything like that in your own lives in this industry?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Are you serious? Okay, can you give me examples? How?
But it's not just, I mean, with me, it's like women who are in less subordinate positions, so higher up, who are like kind of using their power to, it's just a power dynamic thing. But then also men, so like gay men have kind of like come on to me on film sets and stuff and kind of made me feel uncomfortable. But it happens all the time. So it's kind of like gender neutral. But yeah, no, it happens all the time. It's really terrible.
Yeah. Things go from like joking to, and like things go from like haha joking to flirty very fast. And sometimes you don't even realize it. You're like, oh, wait a minute, this has become like flirting by accident. And I don't know. It's a weird dynamic. It happens anywhere though.
But there's a scene in the film where some like successful old exec type grabs Jordan's bits, right? And he's like, doesn't know what to do, so just laughs it off. And it's interesting, guys, because this is obviously so relevant right now. And I think toxic masculinity probably means why you guys don't share it as much as we do to each other. But also, I think social norms sometimes make you think that you're being a prude about it. Oh, for God's sake, lighten up. Yep. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. That's how the abusers get away with it. So that dick grab in the film is based on is based on a story by Terry Crews, who was sexually assaulted by an agent named Adam Vennett at William Morris Endeavor twice in one night at a party. Adam was a bit drunk and possibly on drugs, allegedly, but Terry was completely emasculated by it, and he has these incredible interviews where he speaks very openly about it. We had to drive home with his wife and left the party and like ruined his thinking. He talks about that psychosis where like it's not just necessarily the assault, it's also that feeling of I may never work in this town again because of this person's power if I say anything against it. It's a really complicated power dynamic, and that's why it has to be completely secular. It has to be completely devoid of sex in the workplace, and we do a good job of that. Like I feel like you have to be the change that you want to see in the world, and having grown up in that stupid bullshit, it's very nice to make sure that everybody's safe, which is the least you can do on a fucking film set.
People are so uncomfortable, and I think that the most important thing that I think we can all relate to is this idea of being blocked, and that's it because you said something you weren't supposed to say about somebody powerful. PJ, you know, when it feels like you guys aren't afraid sometimes to be rebels, you know, you work out of the fringes of the industry, but Hollywood is still watching you. Is it at all like, I don't know, do you ever get scared about some of the shit you guys want to do and think, what if we get blocked because we've got this deal thing that's coming up that we really want to do?
Less and less every day for me, honestly. I don't know. I feel like, look, some people are, I'm sure there's going to be people talking behind I'd be like, wow, like that was kind of fucked up they did that. But honestly, like, lighten up. Like we were just talking about, I mean, it's the same people that are, you know, like that are uncomfortably, you know, might be confronting someone at a party and their response is, oh, lighten up. God, it's just a party, relax. And we're like, we're doing the same thing to you. Lighten up. It's just a movie. Like, we're just making a movie. It's a joke. And so like, if you can't take the joke at a party, like you better be able to take the joke in a movie.
I think also, Max, like you and I are speaking about this and like what needs to change in the film industry. And I think it feels like we're very much alone in that, but really a huge amount of the industry wants to see these changes as well. So like, I think that when the movie comes out, I think people will celebrate it in a funny way of like, oh yeah, this is a problem we need to work on. And I think most people will say, oh, I know someone just like that. And like, they might not say that it's very much like them or it's someone in their office that is their boss or something like that. But I think really making jokes about it can often lead to change in a way that, normal conversation doesn't. So I don't know. I think really, yeah, you're right, PJ, it's a comedy. What are they going to do? Like, I don't think we're going to get into trouble, but like, I would be very surprised if people, specifically clients of agents, didn't reach out and say, I've been thinking about that for years.
Yeah, I mean, we already had our first agent at one of the screenings in the UK come up and was like, yeah, he was like, look, it was really funny. I get it. And it felt kind of bad. I mean, the guy,
Me too.
I felt really bad. He was a really nice guy. And he was just like, look, some of us are just trying to get our 10%. And we were like, no, and God bless you. And God bless you.
A couple of weeks ago, I got a letter in the mail inviting me to a no strings attached sexual encounter in a hotel room. It's a pretty card, looked official. I don't know. I was stupid. I went.
I think with Jordan as well, I don't know how you lot did it. Even though he was a little bit of a shit, he still had endearing qualities. And you couldn't help but think, oh, okay. And you're laughing, Jim, but I didn't totally hate him. I did have sympathy for him, which is not often something that people manage to do in these sort of stories when there's clearly a bad guy. So was it important to almost show that he swallowed into the system as well?
Sure. And we definitely wanted to make sure that he wasn't American Psycho, that he wasn't this like actual sociopath that didn't have feelings, that he was pretending to fit into this mold of what the job was supposed to be. So that at the end of the film, there's this huge catharsis where he's been lying for the previous 80 minutes and we get to see him admit to all of the lies. And the audience gets to laugh at that and be like, wow, this guy's a fucking idiot, which is really fulfilling for an audience as well as the character. But no, there were things that we kind of peppered throughout the film that are those emotional moments of like when he's talking to Raymond and Raymond says, oh, grab a drink, come and hang out. And he goes, no, I'm 5 years sober. Immediately the audience is like, oh, he's not this awful guy. He's this victim of alcoholism. And like, I kind of like threw him under the bus too quickly. And then you kind of earn the audience's allegiance to the characters throughout. So there are a couple of moments like that of like, even like facial performances that are like Easter eggs to kind of carry the audience through so they don't think he's the absolute worst person in the world.
That leads me nicely to a point in the film. I think that was near to the end when he confesses to his fiancée about wanting to just be at work and for people to like him, appreciate him. Validation, guys. This is a big theme in the film, and I think a lot of people, whether they work in the entertainment industry or anything that's powerful, competitive, we all get to a point where we forget, do I love what I do? Am I good at what I do? It's almost like nobody else tells us. We don't believe it. You're both nodding. PJ, the validation aspect, for you personally, this is a big part of the story. Is that something, imposter syndrome? I don't know, whatever we want to call it. Have you experienced it?
Yeah, we all deal with it every day. I mean, that's a big part of, like we deal with it in a bunch of projects that Jim and I have worked on in the past where you're dealing with these big networks or something and like, you're just like, it never seems like your writing is good enough or anything you do is good enough because like you have to jump through so many hoops to get anything done. A big part of making the beta test independently was kind of the beta test for, can we do this ourselves? Can we just make things on our own where we don't need to be validated by the powers that be in Hollywood? And we can do something like this and put it out ourselves and have it be celebrated and do well without some studio or some big network coming in and having to like kind of guide the ship for us because we're not good enough to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we've been able to do that is like, okay, like fine, like, yeah, because we've been struggling with self-validation for so much. Of course, everybody does. In this industry more than most, because it is just it is so personal to your own work and your own creativity, but that happens in every industry. And yeah, that's a huge part of this.
I mean, Thunder Road, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, and then now the beta test, I feel like you've got past that second, musicians have that second album. Oh, you're never going to beat that critically acclaimed album. And for you, it's fair to say, Thunder Road, you started way high. You broke our hearts. We love that guy. We adore him. No one can say a bad thing about Thunder Road in my presence because I will literally hurt people. But to start there and to come to this point, to be on your third film, still have critics loving it, which I know you guys say you don't care about, but I do strangely think you do. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, and it's crazy. It's suspicious. We're very, very lucky that the critics have loved it. And yeah, we've got 100% of Rotten Tomatoes. It'll go down, which is the only thing I don't really care. It's normal that happens. But yeah, no, I feel like we've been very lucky. We make movies for cinephiles, unlike most people. Most people are making movies for broader audiences, or they don't have the ability in the like structure of their finishing a film to ensure that the movie won't be mediocre. And we're very lucky that we've kind of organized our lives around making sure that the film is going to work for audiences. So yeah, we've just been very lucky over the last few years, like doing The Wolf of Snow Hollow, and like having a big studio film and then kind of racing back into the smaller budget movies ensured that for us, that we could chaperone this ship and drive it towards audience engagement and to make stuff that people really dug.
All those clicks, all those likes from then all the way till now, that's all been saved by these companies. It's the ultimate clickbait, thirst trap. Now I'm suspicious of everyone. Maybe it's your wife. Maybe it's my wife.
Are you doing this to me?
No.
Is it what you hoped it would be? Because I honestly thought Thunder Road happened and I thought that's it. In the nicest way possible, they're going to go Hollywood. People are going to come forward and they're going to give them money. Big studios are going to think, let's snap these guys up. They're talented. They've managed to do something that nobody else has done. But instead you've continued on this journey. And I want to know, is it how you thought it would go after Thunder Road?
I mean, yeah, we've been very fortunate, and we've been able to stick with our same team. So like my production designer for Thunder Road did Wolf of Snow Hollow and the beta test. Like I've been able to keep it a very small, insular team. It's the same producers that I've had for all three features. And then, doing the beta test is just this like funny, insane exercise with my best friend in the world. So it was like it never felt like work. It was just us being allowed to do whatever we wanted, and then 16 months of editing by ourselves. So like we had Final Cut. Nobody has that, really. Nobody in the studio system would allow that. I knew that we were going to grow, and like after the Thunder Road feature, because it was decent, was going to be a calling card for us. Yeah. But honestly, nobody asks us to make stuff.
Thunder Road, sorry if you both blush about this, it did something that has never been done before, right? It was a super special moment for creatives to come into the game, shake it all up and show that we can do this without any backing. And everybody loved it. There was no one that was like, oh, this is not a good movie. This was a beautiful movie and a special one. So I don't understand why after that, I mean, I'm not saying that you would have said yes, but you must have talked about this between you. PJ, what's the logic? Why weren't you guys in demand? Why wasn't everyone running to you?
I mean, we had some bigger corporate successes. I mean, writing in television and some other things, but I think we just got busy doing other stuff. I mean, Jim, like Wolf of Snow Hollow became kind of a bigger thing while we were still writing TV projects, which I was kind of spearheading. I mean, there was stuff with bigger companies going on, but it wasn't like, I don't know, none of it was like to the point where, all right, we're going to be continuing doing this forever. And then I think like beta test was something we were never going to be able to do through a Hollywood system. I mean, that was something that had to be done independently, no matter what. I mean, like that script was it's pretty in a way that I'm very proud of. And I think if we had like pitched that script around, no matter how big we were, I don't think anyone would have made it. I think like it had to be done this way. And I think there's a lot of projects that Jim and I have that are very unique and in a good way that I'm proud of, that I think like might have to be done independently. But I don't know. I think maybe because we're so anti sanitized content, that I think a lot of times people are going to balk at that.
Like, I get your choices, absolutely, but I'm just trying to think about the world we work in and how rare it is to get new, fresh talent.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, I mean, that's an epidemic that's happening right now, is that like we're not alone in not getting tapped on the shoulder by Marvel or whatever, or studios and saying, hey, I don't think that we're alone in that. There's millions of people who are very talented who like could be making stuff on their own, but are waiting to get discovered or to get, the deal from some of these places. The only thing that's different about us is we never waited to make something. So like, while we were planning these like TV things that still didn't get greenlit, we still weren't good enough in the eyes of the system to get a TV show ever for 5 years. Yeah. While that was happening, I still was able to make 3 feature films. So like we were still able to use our like teams to self-finance and like, run crowd equity and crowdfunding campaigns to make these 3 features. So really, I think that's the thing that's a common misconception, is that you have to like wait around to get the perfect deal and then someone's going to take you seriously, rather than just assemble your friends to make a movie in 14 days for $200,000 and like run a Kickstarter campaign, which is how I'm talking to you now. like how we became friends is because I made this movie with my buddies in Austin, Texas,
Yeah.
and then it played on the world stage. So like,
How are you gonna look tomorrow when you come in? How are you gonna convince me today that you're better at your job tomorrow, Jacqueline?
That leads me to another topic in the film, friendship. Because even though, as we've established, Jordan can be a bit of a shit, his bestie, who happens to be called PJ, I won't think Jim, I don't want to think Jordan's based loosely on the scary side of Jim. Let's hope not. But PJ, like for you, how important has it been having each other? Because I think there's a lot of creative folk that feel exactly how you feel, but they don't always have somebody that feels exactly the same way on the same journey. So how crucial has it been having each other?
Oh, it's been everything. I mean, I was just acting like for most of like my 20s. I had done some writing and stuff, but I was never really going to pursue it until Jim and I kind of fell into this rhythm and kind of discovered this amazing partnership. And now it's all I want to do. All I want to do is like, acting has become secondary to me. I just want to make stuff with Jim and continue our writing and everything. And we have so many incredible things now that we're working on. And yeah, I mean, he's my best friend. I mean, he is in real life. And so like, I'm so thankful that like our journeys have brought us to this point. And it's insane to think of a few years ago where we've come. And yeah, it's life-changing. And really, I would never in a million years would I've done it without him. No way.
Oh, that's so nice. And Jim, for you as well, director, writer, and actor, you play a lot of these lead parts. I've always thought somebody being in control of all these things, they need someone that occasionally says, that has to check you and be like, all right, you think that works, but I'm watching you act it. Is PJ that person for you that can pull you back and say, look?
Several times a day. Yeah. And it's been great to also just like work with him where like we'll be workshopping something and I'll do it out loud and I think it's going somewhere. And then he's just like, yeah, that's not gonna work. Or like, what if we do that? And like, but we're always doing that to each other. Like in really writing the script, it was very much us sculpting at the same block of marble to then find the thing. So like, we do have very much the same sense of humor and the same sense of what's going to be cool. And so there was only a moment it's only additive where it's like, oh, I don't like that idea. What if we do this instead? And then it's like, yeah, how do we make that even cooler? Yeah. So like really, we never fought, we never argue, we never like butt heads about what's going to work. We're always kind of driving the ship in the same direction, which is very lucky. That never happens.
Yeah.
I'd wear a blindfold, but the woman, I can't even tell you.
Wait. What's going on here? Hold on. Wait, this is really happening? You really did this? In this climate?
The other topic, really important one that I don't want to forget about, thirst traps. Okay, guys. Jim, I know you're engaged. PJ, I don't know what your circumstance are. You?
I'm married. I am married.
You're married. Okay, so let's go pre-fiance, pre-marriage. What were your thirst traps? Because Jordan, bless him, he gets his purple invitation, and I straight away would have thought, hell no, that's not gonna, no. But he couldn't help himself. He was just mystery, obviously like he's cheated before. But I'm wondering for you, Jim, on your timeline, for example, on Instagram, if you were a single man right now, what would be like?
Wow.
This is a very personal question, man.
Sorry, do you have an issue?
This is
Like,
gotcha journalism.
I can go first. I'll go first. Mine used to be dimples and guys that look like Pharrell. Then I met him and I got over it because he has a wife, and I was like, this is really bad.
So yeah, when I think of thirst traps, obviously it's got to be something like sexy. My Instagram feed is just like always beautiful like models who are half naked, and I'm like, why? I don't have like that's, I'm like I didn't request any of this. What is this?
I've been hacked. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a pop-up ad, Mom. It's a pop-up ad. I don't know what you're talking about. But no, I mean like. Yeah, I don't know. I remember when we were posting.
You're looking at the ceiling. PJ's looking at something on the left. No eye contact, and all of a sudden we were doing so well.
Because we're nervous.
My mom's calling. I have to take this.
Because we're very nervous, Max. We're Puritans. Okay. We're Americans.
Okay, but in the film, let's talk about this because I feel like a lot of people, they don't want to admit to certain things that tempt them. So it's kind of that dark side of all of us in the back of our heads that we think, oh, would I have done that? Was that quite exciting to play with that idea?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah,
also
for
like
sure.
the Puritanism of America, and like the way that like everything is sanitized. Everybody's very nervous to like talk about sex, just like PJ and I have been for the last 2 minutes. But it's funny where like everybody feels like they're gonna get caught in this thing, and then it's gonna like they're gonna be shamed about it. And it feels a bit like the Scarlet Letter in a scary way, psychologically for Americans, maybe Brits as well. But yeah, no, we wanted to do that. We wanted to have it be this kind of like funny, high pressure experience. So like when he goes into the hotel room, he gets a knife out and then puts it into his pocket. And most audience members are like, "Oh my God, why?" But like that's the psychosis that we're in right now. You feel like you can't speak honestly about your sexuality or what you're into, whatever,
I think it's funny because Jim and I, as you can tell, are actually very awkward when we have to talk about this stuff, which is why it's so ridiculous. I think that's why it was so fun to live in this world, because Jim and I were like, what if you actually got caught up in something?
Yeah,
like
it's freeing. It's very liberating.
so bad in this world. And so I think it's why it's funny to watch us like floundering in this situation.
Jim, nudity. It's a couple of times now, mate. So I need to talk to you about this. Is it becoming a thing in your contract? If I don't have a scene where I get my butt out, I'm not doing the film. I'm joking. This time it was a lot though.
Nudity as comedy, I think, is like the thing that is a through line throughout my films for sure. In Thunder Road, you see butt because the pants have ripped and my ass is out. And then with this one, it was a plot device, so like we had to do it. It was very uncomfortable. Yeah. But actually, this is an exclusive on Flip Your Wig. It's not really me. I'm so sorry, Max.
I knew it wasn't. Do you know why? Because I'm that sad person that has met you and thought, okay, he's got a fiance, he's a good guy. And I kept looking, because I had a screen, I could stop and look at, I know it sounds so dodgy, I could look at it a few times, and I was thinking, maybe.
So it's my body. I'm acting in the scene, but we were both wearing beige underwear. And so there was a day when I had to comp on a full frontal male junk.
Skims, like Kim Kardashian stuff.
And so I was Googling all morning dark male penis and like had to comp it onto my body and had to get the right angle. So I was going through thousands of photographs to try and find this right angle. And it was the weirdest morning. But I feel very free from it because it's not really me. It's like, oh no, it's a magic trick that I did. That's a lot of fun. So yeah, it was very uncomfortable, obviously, doing sex scenes, but we had an intimacy coordinator that took care of both of us throughout the scenes, and it was really great. It felt like a kung fu scene. It didn't feel like we were doing a sex scene at all. It felt nice.
PJ, did you help him prepare? Like, did you give him the bro chat?
We did. PJ and I did the angles for the hotel room where he actually was sitting on my face, and we did the whole thing.
Yeah, we did. I guess you're right. We did do that. Yeah, we actually kind of walked through it. We're like, all right, how are we actually going to do this? Because we couldn't show up on the day and be like,
read a behind the scenes video, guys. Come on, that's the stuff we need to see.
Anybody got any stills of that? Maybe Natalie did. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
All those clicks, all those likes from then all the way till now, that's all been saved by these companies. It's the ultimate clickbait, thirst trap. Now I'm suspicious of everyone.
I'm so excited for everyone to see this. I know at the moment I'm overwhelmed with releases. June is out this, French Dispatch this week, June, and then next week Eternals. But the beta test, like being amongst all these big, massive sort of studio films, it's like you want to scream and shout and you want people to know that this is there as well. Go and see it.
I'm glad it's out with all these. It's fitting. It's great.
Yeah. Go see it, and go see it because Max is in it and she's really good.
No, guys, don't go it for me because I'm not in it. I'm really not in it. You might recognize the voice, but the shot doesn't even stay on me long enough for you to know it's me.
Yeah.
In France, everybody laughs at that bit of you saying Zac Efron is off the market, and everybody laughs. And it was like, cool. She gets the first laugh in the movie.
So kind. I'll change my Instagram profile to presenter, producer /
co-star.
No. Not even that, really. I'm a co-star, off a co-star, aren't I? When we think about it, really.
How are you going to look tomorrow when you come in? How are you going to convince me today that you're better at your job tomorrow, Jacqueline?